Adventurers have a lot of craft supplies. It's just part of being an adventurer. So there are some basics that we are constantly in need of. And one of the challenges in adventures is making sure that the craft supplies that we usually need are where we need them, when we need them, and that they're available. And we're not running across the hall searching for a pair of scissors or usable glue or anything like that. We need to have that stuff sitting there waiting for us right when we go to start our craft. So one of the things that we always have to figure out in adventures, especially for a newer club, is how we're going to set up our supplies. Sometimes we have a system that works and it works great for years, and sometimes we need to reevaluate and change our system. So today I'm going to talk to you about 3 different systems that I have seen or used, and some of the pros and cons of them. And hopefully, if this is an issue that you're struggling with, maybe you'll see some idea in here that will be helpful to you. Or, maybe you'll get those creative juices flowing and you will come up with a custom option that works just perfectly for your club, or at least good enough, because good enough is good. So to start with, when I first came to the club I'm at, they had all the kids in one room and they basically did everything as one class. It was a very small club and most of the kids were the same age. So for them, all they needed was to have everything together. In fact, they used these big drawers. We still have them. And they could just pull out the drawer of, all the crayons that you needed, or we have glue on the shelves. In fact, we actually still keep our liquid glue in the same way that it was kept years and years ago because we don't use liquid glue very often. So I just pull it off when we need it. But everything would be set up. We have a luxury of having a dedicated adventurer space, or at least a storage space. We actually share the main classroom with the primary Sabbath school class now, but they have their storage and we have ours, and it is amazing. And I do love that. It's one of the perks of being here. So this worked really well for them. But when I came, coincidentally, our club grew at about the same time. And we went from one class in one classroom to 4 classes. So, and 2 classrooms. So we still had chaos because 3 classes were meeting in one room, which was not something I really recommend, but you do what you got to do. So for that, these didn't work so well anymore because we had kids in multiple spaces. And again, we don't want to be interrupting one class as we run across the room to get our supplies, that sort of stuff. So we changed our system, and we actually used the system that my previous club had used. In fact, we have their bins because one of the reasons why our club grew so much is because my previous club, the church, decided they didn't want to have adventurers anymore. And so they shut it down, and most of the kids ended up over here. So for them, we were used to having more people in a space. And so we had these bins. So we just have a bin like this. And so you could take all of your stuff to wherever it was. So before the meeting started, you'd grab your bin and you would take it to your table or across the hall to your classroom, wherever you needed to go. So this has basically everything that is needed. It doesn't have some of the extras like liquid glue, paint. We have those on up in a cupboard, so they're available, but we don't use those every week. So for this, we have a system. So this is going to be, everybody's going to be sharing supplies. So we have 3 of these bins. We've got one for our scissors. And these were all color coded too. So if somebody did get them mixed up, they could all go back together. Not essential, but it was kind of nifty. We had our markers. And yeah, we still have a lot of these around. Some of the stuff I pulled from. But yeah, our crayons. And then pencils, glue sticks, and then 2 colored pencils, because these are the ones we use the most. And that way you could stick one at each end of the table. And then a package of baby wipes so you can clean up whatever messes you might need to clean up. Love that. And they do get used. So that would be the system that we used to use, and they look pretty similar between all the classes. Some changes that might be made is our little lambs would often have a different kind of pencil. They would get these. These are really made for preschoolers, so I really love using these in Little Lambs. These are just, they're Crayola. They're a little fatter, and they've got a, they're not round. So I really like using these with little kids. And so that's what we went with for that. That's what our Little Lambs teacher wanted, and it is what our preschool teacher / my co-director said, you got to have those. And so I went, okay, sure. So that's what we went with for them. So that is option 2. These were really handy because, again, we could just grab the bin and take it to wherever it needed to go, and you got all your supplies. And the downside with this is, of course, we have all the shared supplies. And adventures are, as adorable as they are diseases, vectors of disease. They share a lot of colds and stuff, and although we always ask our families to stay home if you're sick, obviously sometimes somebody has an illness and they don't have any symptoms yet. So when we came back from COVID, we felt that we had to make some changes. So one of our big changes was to change our setup. So instead of using these where everybody shared, we went to individual packs. So this is an individual pack for our older kids. So this is what it would look like for Busy Bees through Helping Hands. They have a tag on here with their name on it, so they know which one is theirs. The front pocket has their pencil. It's got a glue stick. We've got scissors and eraser and also a pencil sharpener. Now, I will say that this year I had some kids, my older kids, who didn't have the impulse control necessary, and so I had to start pulling scissors and pencil sharpeners out of kits this year. I've never run into that before, but this year we definitely had some issues. So if that's the case, they weren't in their kit the next week. And then the main area is colored pencils, because that is the bulk of what we use. In my club, we do use 2 sets of colored pencils for them. We have 1 set of just your basic 24 pack, and then we use a Colors of the World pack. And because our kids do a lot of coloring of people, I really wanted to have the Colors of the World ones for them, because we do Adventurous Colors faces a lot, and so this just doesn't do as well for that. So I really love having these, and because these will last many years, I thought it was a good investment to go with. So when we first changed over to these individual sets, I did not have pencil pouches for them yet. All that we used was a simple Ziploc bag with their name on it. And then all of the supplies were just sitting in here, and they were in the boxes. Last year, I did not need to buy any more supplies for them, and so I did buy pencil pouches. And these were a large pack from Amazon. They were very cheap, and I will leave you a link for it just in case you want to see or get some. But just a heads up, these have worked really well for what I need in the club, because we meet twice a month, but I would not recommend these to outfit your kid going to school. They are not high quality, and the ones you get like at Target are going to actually last a lot better. I've noticed a huge difference in quality between these and what I have at home. So they work really great for my club needs, and I would totally purchase them again for that, but I wouldn't want them for a school where they're going to be into them every day. So that is the main stuff. And then my Little Lambs and my Eager Beavers have a slightly different setup. They're very similar, but they've got their same packet. They do have a smaller pencil. These are just a golf pencil. I don't know that I would start with this for an Eager Beaver, but this is what we used in Little Lambs. These are, because of their size, they encourage a more proper pencil grasp. And so we use these for the little guys. And they do come just like this. So I love these for our younger kids because I really want to set up our supplies as best we can for their success. But in their bin, and they do have a bin because they meet across the hall. So for their bin, they have all of their pencil pouches. And then in addition to that, they've got their pencil sharpener, which is separate. I would not put a pencil sharpener in the pouches for the little guys. And I might or may not put the glue straight in there. We haven't had any issues with the glue being in there, but I could see that being an issue with little lambs potentially. Our scissors we store separately for obvious reasons. And then you'll see that we have our little kid scissors, but we also have a very nice selection of grown-up scissors because the adults do a fair amount of cutting and we want them to be comfortable and cared for as well. We want to take good care of our parents. And then they've also got some tape and they've got wipes in their bin as well. And so that is my 3 main ways that I set everything up. All of them have benefits. Obviously, all of them have some drawbacks as well, but I have found this to be pretty convenient come meeting time because teachers can just grab the kit that they need and they know that they will have the things they need. So what do you do in your club? How do you make sure that you've got the colored pencils? My Canadian education is coming out. How do you make sure you've got your colored pencils where they need to be? How do you have your things set up? I would love to know. Leave me a message in the comments and I would be delighted to learn from you. And I'm sure that everyone else would also love to hear from you. Talk to you next time. Bye.